What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video on Nini Wells. And I want to make a quick video. I'm probably going to use this for one of my classes later in the future. So if you stumble across this video, well, you probably need it. So hopefully this helps. Before we get started, follow both of my Instagrams. I'll have them linked down here. And let's get into it. So this video is going to cover how to set up your welding machine. And this is going to cover, for the most part, if you're here, you're not going to realize, you're not gonna know what a lot of this stuff means, or you're just confused on the amps and all that, and I'll get that covered for you right now. So right here I have my Miller Multimatic 220 Pro, and it should make it pretty simple, or it should be pretty easy to show y'all what you're gonna need, how to set up your settings and all that. So depending on what you're gonna be using, which process is gonna be the first thing we need to start off with. Obviously turn on your machine, and then we're gonna choose our process. Here I have my flux cord, stainless, a MIG stainless, MIG carbon steel, depending on the gas is what the C means, aluminum, TIG steel, and stainless, and then stick. So I'll start off with all of them, and then I'll give you some quick pointers. So here we have flux core to start off, and that's going to be your welding with the gun but without the gas. Why did I hold it backwards? So yeah, so for that we're gonna have two settings, one for volts and one for wire feed. The volts is gonna be how hot you get, and the wire feed speed is how much wire comes out of the gun. The higher we go, the more wire we get, the higher we go, and the more heat we get. And obviously if one goes higher, most of the time the other one's gonna go higher. For this machine, it's actually pretty cool. Not all of them have it. This has an auto set feature, so depending on your wire and how thick your material is, it'll give you like recommendations. Like right here is the recommended settings. It gives you a little bit of adjustment, but it'll cap out to stay within those parameters. But most of y'all won't have this feature, and if you have this feature, you kind of won't be needing this video, so we're gonna stay away from that. So depending on your metal, you're gonna want to look at your metal, see how thick it is, if you're half an inch or so, and then you're gonna want to, most of the time you're gonna have a chart. I'll put it in the video somewhere around here. You're gonna have a chart like that, and you're gonna want to decide where how thick your metal is in your wire. With that chart, you're gonna use yourself to guide, and honestly that chart can be a little how should I say it? It's a guideline, but it's not like the holy grail, is what I'm trying to say. Because a lot of people can be, and let's say for example they're welding whatever, and this is the settings that the chart gives them. For some people that's gonna work. For others, they could weld that same piece of metal that chart gave them, and they could be down here because they weld a little slow or whatever. We'll just, I don't know what this would weld for right now. I'm just moving it for whatever. But let's say compared to where we started, they'll need a weld with that, just because depending on how they are. And yeah, so a lot of times that chart is going to help out a lot, and the heat is gonna be the volts, and then for wire feed speeds, how much you get. So usually the higher you go with the wire feed, you're gonna want to follow that with the volts. And obviously you could adjust if it feels like you need more heat. Obviously add more heat and don't touch the wire feed speed. If you feel like you're too hot, you could either turn up the wire feed speed so it could melt more metal, or you could tone down your volts, and then vice versa. And that's gonna be for MIG and flux cord. Both of them are gonna run off a chart like this. I'm gonna go to MIG real quick right here. It's gonna get off the screen real quick, and then it's gonna show out the same chart like this. That's gonna be for MIG and flux core. For for TIG, it's actually gonna be a lot more simpler. Oh, it's on aluminum, but it doesn't matter for this right here. Actually, I'm gonna take it off so you guys don't see the frequency. So for TIG, it's really simple. You don't have to find the volts, the wire feed speed. For that, it is extremely simple. All you have is one thing: amps. The amps is your heat, and that's all you need. So you could adjust it to as little, for example, if you're doing the aluminum, the Coke cans, you're gonna want to tone that all the way down. If you're doing maybe for like general metal, for something like this over here, I'd say, let me grab this. I know I have some metal laying down. For some regular scrap metal like this, No, it's probably like 1/8 inch right here. For metal, like, you know, just general metal, I'm gonna like to, you know, weld around with my speed, probably, you know, around a good 90 to 100 amps. We'll probably round it down to like, you know, 96, 95, around there. And that's all you need to adjust it to. Obviously it's gonna depend off your metal. For 1/8 inch, this is what I like to use, but it always depends on what you're working with, what you're trying to achieve. If I'm just, you know, adding beads to this, that's usually what I go to, maybe a little hotter. And then for stick is gonna be exactly the same for like as TIG, because for stick all you're gonna have is just how it's gonna show up on the screen right here. All you're gonna have is amps. You don't have to worry about this right here. This is kind of like a fancy feature on machines called dig. It just helps boost amps when you're starting off, so in case you're getting stuck with the electrode on your plate, that'll help you out. But for the most part, all you have to worry about is amps. Really, this doesn't affect the heat when you're, you know, just running the bead across. And it's gonna be the same thing. Amps. Whoa, chill. Did I just send a crazy message to someone? I think my watch just went off. Oh, but like I was saying, sorry about that. The amps is going to be just your heat, and then you're going to want to adjust your amps to your metal. You know, if I'm doing 78 for amps, it's going to depend off your electrode. You know, for 7018, I like to run probably, oh well, it's kept out because I have it plugged into a 110 outlet, so it won't let me go higher. But for 7018, you know, I like to go usually like at 110 115 amps, 60 10 on an open route. I'll probably like to go around 80 90, around there, probably 85 to get a nice little actually cook that root in. But yeah, for stick and TIG, all you're gonna worry about is amps. Adjust that depending on your workpiece. For MIG and flux, you're gonna want to adjust it depending on the voltage and then the wire feed speed. You're gonna use the metal to guide you with the chart like I showed early in the video. And honestly, that's really it. I know it's a lot of talking, it could get a little confusing, but with the charts, they have them for you know, MIG and flux, and then for stick and TIG as well. Those charts, if you know how to read them, which isn't hard, you're gonna have your wire feed on, or your wire size on one side, and how thick your metal is, it's gonna guide you into that. It's really simple to read, and you know, if you just don't know how to operate the knobs or what they mean, hopefully this video has helped. But either this video or the last video I have is gonna be the last ones before I actually get into showing some arc shots, and then we're gonna start just booming out nice, good quality content with some good arc shots coming after that. But other than that, thank y'all so much for watching, and y'all stay blessed. Have a good one. Peace.